I stared out my apartment window, the city's skyline gleaming like a promise I once thought wasn't meant for me. The glass reflected a woman who looked calm, composed, navy silk blouse, hair perfectly tied, lipstick untouched by the coffee cup beside me. But beneath that polish, there was a pulse of old anger, a bruise that time had learned to hide, not heal. My phone buzzed on the desk, cutting through the soft hum of the morning. A message. I hesitated before flipping it over. Hey, Kate. Mom's condition got worse. We might need to talk about care plans. It was from my brother, Daniel. For a moment, I just stared at his name, the screen light burning into my palm. It had been years since we'd spoken beyond the polite, hope you're well messages. Years since his wife, Madison, took what wasn't hers, the college fund our parents saved for me, and turned it into her dream house with white shutters and a wraparound porch. I had no degree, no inheritance, no comfort back then. Just Mom, and the night shifts at the diner that paid for her medicine. Now, standing in a penthouse I bought with my own name on the deed, I almost laughed at the irony. Almost. But something about that message made the air feel heavy. Because no matter how far I'd come, I knew I couldn't ignore the past any longer. I was 19 when everything unraveled. The house still smelled like Mom's lavender lotion and hospital disinfectant. I remember standing in the kitchen, the late afternoon light spilling across the table stacked with unpaid bills. Daniel was there, pacing, his phone glued to his ear, while Madison, perfect hair, perfect nails, smiled like this was just another conversation about new curtains. The college fund's gone, Kate, Daniel said finally, rubbing the back of his neck. We had to use it for a down payment. I blinked, thinking he was joking.
What?
That money was for my tuition. You promised. Madison cut in, her voice sweet but sharp. We're family, Kate. You'll understand when you have responsibilities. This house is an investment for all of us. I remember my throat closing up, the words catching like splinters. All of us? I've been working nights, taking care of Mom while you two plan open houses. Daniel didn't meet my eyes. You'll figure something out. You always do. That line, you always do, became a wound I carried for years. I ran to my room before they could see the tears. Mom was sitting up in bed, frail but alert, her eyes the same soft blue as mine. She reached out, her thin hand trembling. Don't let their choices define you, sweetheart, she whispered. Kindness isn't weakness. But don't let anyone mistake your silence for surrender. She handed me her locket, a small, heart-shaped silver one with a photo of her and Dad inside. I held it like it was the only thing keeping me from falling apart. That night, I lay awake listening to the muffled laughter from downstairs, the sound of new beginnings that weren't mine. The next morning, I packed my bag. A few clothes, a notebook, Mom's locket, and enough cash for 1 month's rent. As I closed the door behind me, I promised myself one thing. If they could build their dream house with my future, I'd build my own future, one they'd never see coming. The first months were brutal. I rented a room above a bakery on the east side of town, the kind that always smelled like sugar and exhaustion. During the day, I attended community college classes, and at night, I waited tables until my feet went numb. Sometimes, when tips were good, I'd treat myself to a small cup of clam chowder before walking home in the freezing dark. Every morning, I'd touch the silver locket around my neck, Mom's words echoing in my head. Kindness isn't weakness. I didn't feel kind. I felt angry, tired, and scared. But somehow, that anger burned steady enough to keep me moving. One night, during a double shift, a woman named Evelyn Parker came into the diner. She was elegant, mid-50s, the kind of woman who carried herself like she didn't owe anyone an explanation. I must have looked half dead when she asked, "Are you in school?" "Yes, ma'am," I said, handing her coffee. "Trying to be." She smiled, not out of pity, but recognition. "Keep trying," she said. "You have eyes like someone who doesn't quit." A few weeks later, she returned, this time with a business card. Evelyn ran a local interior design studio. She needed an assistant, someone organized, dependable, and willing to learn. I took the job. That job changed everything. Evelyn taught me not just design, but discipline. I learned how colors could change moods, how textures could tell stories. I spent weekends sketching layouts, learning digital tools, and slowly building a portfolio. My first paycheck went to mom's medicine, the second to a proper laptop. By 23, I was running small renovation projects on my own, budget apartments, local cafes, even a pediatric clinic. Evelyn said I had the eye, and soon her clients started asking for me by name. When mom passed, I almost quit. The grief hit like a wave, swallowing every bit of light I'd found. But one morning, I opened the locket, her smile frozen forever beside Dad's, and I remembered why I started. I poured everything into my work. My designs grew bolder, my clients wealthier. Eventually, I started my own company, Hartwell Studio, named after mom's maiden name. I didn't post much online. Family thought I was still managing, maybe barely scraping by. I let them think that. Success felt sacred, like something I didn't need to prove anymore. At 28, I signed the papers for my first property, a charming house on Willow Creek Road. White shutters, wraparound porch, the same model Madison once bragged about. When I held the keys, I didn't feel revenge, I felt peace. Quiet, earned, radiant peace. But life has a way of circling back. And the day Daniel's message appeared on my phone, the one about mom's care and family discussions, I knew the past wasn't done with me yet. The following weekend, I drove back to my hometown for the first time in years. Autumn had set in, the roads lined with red and gold leaves that crunched under the tires. My chest tightened as I passed familiar streets, the diner where I used to work, the pharmacy that used to know mom's prescriptions by heart. Daniel had asked to meet at the house. I almost laughed when I realized what he meant, their house, the one Madison bought with the money that was supposed to fund my degree. When I parked out front, the place looked smaller than I remembered. The white shutters had peeled, the porch railing was cracked, and the lawn looked tired. Time had not been kind. Daniel opened the door, eyes puffy, smile uncertain. "Kate," he said softly, "you look different." "I should," I replied, brushing past him. "It's been a decade." Madison stood in the living room, holding a mug like it was armor. She hadn't changed much, still immaculate, still the practiced charm that could curdle milk. "Katie, oh my God, it's been forever. You look amazing." Her tone was sugar-laced guilt. I smiled, the polite kind that doesn't reach your eyes. "It has been forever." We sat. The air was thick with unspoken things. Daniel explained that the house was under foreclosure, his business had failed, and Madison's dream home was turning into a burden they couldn't maintain. Then came the real reason for my visit. "We were hoping," Daniel said carefully, "you might help us. Maybe co-sign on a loan, or lend us something short-term, just until we get back on our feet." I studied him. The same brother who'd looked away when his wife took my future. The same woman now twisting her wedding ring, pretending not to see the irony. "How much are you behind?" I asked. Madison exhaled, relief softening her voice. "Just under 200,000. We'd sell, but the market's bad." I stood, walking toward the window. Outside, the porch light flickered weakly against the falling dusk. "You know," I said quietly, "I own a property on Willow Creek Road. Beautiful house. White shutters. Wraparound porch." Daniel blinked. "Wait, the same model as this?" "The very same." I turned to face them, my tone calm but cutting. "Bought it 2 years ago. Cash. It's worth double now." Madison's mug slipped slightly in her grip. You bought a house like this?" "No," I said, meeting her eyes. "I bought what you thought I'd never have." Silence swallowed the room. Daniel's shoulders sagged. "Kate, we didn't mean." "I know what you meant," I interrupted, voice steady. "You meant I'd figure something out. And I did." Their faces were a collage of disbelief and regret. I let the moment stretch, every second thick with poetic justice. Then I reached into my purse, pulled out a folded envelope, and placed it on the coffee table. "What's this?" Madison asked. Your mortgage statement, I said. Paid in full. Daniel's eyes widened. You paid it off? I bought it, I corrected. This house belongs to me now. Madison's mouth fell open. You own this house? Yes, I said softly. The house you bought with my college fund now has my name on the deed. No shouting. No revenge speech. Just truth, standing tall between us. For a long moment, no one spoke. Madison's eyes shimmered, not from pride, but from the cold sting of realization. Daniel just stared at the floor, shame twisting his features. I took a slow breath and said, I'm not here to punish you, but I'm not here to save you either. What happens next depends on how much you've learned. Madison's lips trembled, but she tried to hold onto her pride. Kate, I don't know what to say. Then don't, I said simply. Just listen. I took a seat, resting my hands on my knees, calm and unshakable. Here's how this goes. You and Daniel can stay in this house, my house, for 6 months, rent-free. But there are conditions. Daniel looked up slowly. Conditions? Yes. First, you'll take care of Mom. No excuses, no delays, no blaming schedules or bills. She deserves better than being passed around like an obligation. He nodded, eyes glassy. Second, I continued, turning to Madison, you'll sell that Range Rover in the driveway, the one that costs more in insurance than you make in a month. Use that money to set up something productive. A business, a class, a skill, something that doesn't rely on anyone else's sacrifice. Madison's jaw tightened, her pride battling with guilt. You're serious? Completely. I leaned forward. You took what was meant to build my future and used it for walls that are now crumbling. I'm giving you a chance to build something that lasts, but this time, you'll earn it. The silence that followed was heavy but cleansing. Daniel exhaled, voice low. You don't have to do this for us. I'm not doing it for you, I said. I'm doing it for closure. For Mom. And maybe for the girl I used to be, the one who believed kindness was enough. Madison set her mug down with shaking hands. You're a better person than I ever was. I smiled faintly. No. I just learned that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means deciding who you want to be when the pain is gone. They both sat there, quiet and small in the house they once flaunted. I stood, brushing imaginary dust off my blouse, my heart steady. You have 6 months. I'll send the paperwork in the morning. After that, whether you stay or go depends entirely on what you do between now and then. As I walked toward the door, Daniel whispered, Kate, thank you. I didn't look back. Don't thank me. Just change. The night air outside was crisp, carrying the faint scent of autumn wood smoke. For the first time in years, I felt free, not from them, but from the weight of needing them to understand. Because I finally understood myself. 6 months later, I drove down the same familiar road again. The leaves were gone now, branches bare against a silver sky. When I pulled up to the house, I almost didn't recognize it. The shutters had been repainted, the porch fixed, and for the first time in years, flowers bloomed by the front steps. Daniel met me at the door. He looked older, but softer somehow. Hey, he said quietly. Come in. Inside, the air smelled of cinnamon and coffee. Madison was in the kitchen, her hair tied up, sleeves rolled back, helping Mom with breakfast. It wasn't the picture of perfection she used to force. It was real, imperfect, human. Morning, Kate, Madison said, voice steady but humble. I sold the car. Started a home staging business. Small, but it's mine. I smiled faintly. Good. You look happy. I am, she admitted, then glanced at Mom. We both are. Mom turned to me, her eyes shining with quiet pride. You did good, baby. You made it through the storm. Her words hit something deep inside me. I knelt beside her chair, taking her fragile hand in mine. I only made it because of what you taught me, Mom. You told me kindness isn't weakness, and you were right. It's strength that never needs to shout. She smiled, squeezing my hand. And now you know how to use it. As I stood to leave, Madison followed me to the door. Kate, she said softly, I'll never undo what I did. But thank you for giving me a chance to be better. I nodded. Just keep being that. That's all the repayment I need. Outside, the wind lifted the hem of my coat as I walked to the car. I paused, touching the silver locket that still hung against my chest. Inside, Mom's faded photo smiled up at me, same warmth, same faith. For a long time, I thought my story was about losing something, a college fund, a dream, a sense of fairness. But it wasn't about loss. It was about becoming. I turned back to look at the house one last time, no longer a symbol of betrayal, but of rebirth. And as the sunlight broke through the clouds, I whispered to myself, the perfect ending for my own voiceover. They took my future once, but I learned how to build it twice as strong. Bottom of form.